In today's lesson, we're going to talk about on or off the line. I want us to be able to interpret the meaning of points in a coordinate plane. We're going to start off with a which one doesn't belong, and we're looking at lines on the plane. We are in the student workbooks on page 72. So take a moment here, and I want you to select which one you feel like does not belong, and I want you to supply a justification or a reason for why it is different. Go ahead and take a moment, make your choices, and then meet me back here so we can discuss. All right, so let's dig into it. Let's look at A. What makes A different from all the rest of the graphs? So one thing that I noticed is that all of these lines are parallel. So all of these lines are parallel, which means they all have the same slope. What else do I notice? I noticed that all three lines are negative. So all lines have a negative slope. Let's look at B. What makes B different? Well, B only has 2 lines instead of 3. What about C? What makes C different? Well, C has 2 positive lines, or 2 lines with positive slopes. And then obviously they have 1 line with a negative slope. Can't spell today. With negative slope. And then D is the opposite. So there are 2 lines with negative slopes here. And 1 line with a positive slope. Okay, so those were the reasons why we chose why each of these graphs stood out. Okay, so let's keep it moving. Let's go ahead and start talking about pocket full of change. So what I want you to do is I want you to think about for a moment, if you have $2 in your pocket, what could be in your pocket? So again, you have $2 in your pocket. What could be in your pocket? So I want you to go ahead and turn to the next page, page 73, where we're going to be looking at Jada and Noah's situation. So here we have Jada told Noah that she has $2 worth of quarters and dimes in her pocket and 17 coins altogether. She asked him to guess how many of each type of coin she has. Here is a table that shows some combinations of quarters and dimes that are worth $2. Let's complete the table. So we're completing this table based on what? Based on it being worth $2. Okay, so let's go ahead and fill in the blank. So when there are 0 quarters, we have 20 dimes. If again, our objective is to have $2. If there are 4 quarters is worth $1. So that means we would have to have 10 dimes. If we have 0 dimes, okay, that means all $2 would have to come from our quarters, and we would need 8 of them. If there are 5 dimes makes 50 cents. So we need $1.50 from our quarters, which means there are 6 quarters. Now let's come up with another combination. Let's say I only have, 2 quarters. Okay, 2 quarters. 2 quarters is worth 50 cents. So I still need $1.50. So how many dimes would that be? That would be 15 dimes. Keep in mind, this table was based off of combinations that are worth $2. So let's look at this graph. Here, we have a graph of the relationship between the number of quarters and the number of dimes when there are a total of 17 coins. So now, we're looking at a combination that equals 17 coins. In the table, we were looking at combinations that are worth $2. So they're asking us in A, what does point A represent? So let's find point A. I'm just going to highlight point A here. So what does point A represent? I'm just going to draw my line. So here it looks like we have 8 quarters and how many dimes? 9 dimes. So we definitely have 17 coins, right? Well, how much is this? Okay, so how much is this in dollars? If we have 8 quarters, that is worth $2. If we have 9 dimes, that is worth 90 cents. Well, together, that would be $2.90. So next it asks us, is it possible for Jada to have 4 quarters and 13 dimes in her pocket? And it wants us to explain how we know. So take a moment and think about that. Is it possible for Jada to have 4 quarters and 13 dimes? So now remember, at the very beginning, they told us that Jada had $2 worth of coins and she had 17 coins, right? So now they're asking us if we're still talking about that same situation. Is it possible for Jada to have 4 quarters and 13 dimes? So let's think about how much is 4 quarters. Well, 4 quarters is $1. So I'm just going to put $1 here. And 13 dimes, each dime is worth 10 cents. So if there's 13 dimes, that is $1.30. So that means we have a total of $2.30. Well, remember, Jada only had $2, period. Now, yes, she does have 17 coins because 4 plus 13 is 17, but this represents more than $2, right? So now it asks us how many quarters and dimes must Jada have, and it wants us to explain our reasoning. So remember Jada has 17 coins and she has $2. How can we figure out how many quarters she has and how many dimes she has? So I'm going to show you guys a way that you can figure this out. So remember, Jada has 17 coins. So let's talk about what X and Y is. So we're going to say X is our quarters and Y is our dimes. Where did I get that from? Remember our graph. When we looked at our graph, quarters was on the X-axis, dimes was on the Y-axis, okay? So now that I know this, I'm going to also create an equation for how much money Jada has. So we know that quarters are 25 cents each, right? 25 cents per quarter. We know that dimes are 10 cents each, 10 cents per dime. And we know she has a total of $2. Let me draw a little line there to separate that. So now, how can I use this to help me figure out how many quarters and how many dimes she has? Now, you guys have probably already figured out the answer to this, but so what I'm showing you is a little extension, okay? So first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to solve this first equation for one of my variables, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to solve it for Y because that's what we're used to seeing. So I'm going to subtract X from both sides. And when I do that, I get Y is equal to 17 minus X, okay? So now I'm going to substitute this value for Y into my second equation, okay? So here we go. 25 cents per quarter plus 10 cents per dime. I'm going to put 17 minus X is equal to $2, okay? So now I need to distribute my 10 cents. Still equal to $2. I want to combine my like terms. So my X terms are like here, okay? So I have 25 cents minus 10 cents, which would give me 15 cents plus $1.70, okay? Continue solving for X. Whoops. So I'm going to subtract $1.70 on both sides. So I get 15 cents X is equal to 30 cents. And then I'm going to divide both sides by 15 cents. And I get X, which again, remember, X is our quarters, equals 2. Okay? X equals 2. Now, how do I use that to figure out how many dimes? Well, we already said that Y is equal to 17 minus X. Y is equal to 17 minus, what's X? 2. So that means our dimes is equal to 15. So there are 15 dimes. Now remember, in our table earlier, we came up with the combination there. We came up with the combination 2 and 15, right? Remember that? So here is an algebraic way for us to show why that was correct. Now we're going to move on to talk about making signs, and we're going to be talking with Claire and Andre. So Claire and Andre are making signs for all the lockers as a part of the decorations for the upcoming Spirit Week. Yesterday, Andre made 15 signs and Claire made 5 signs. Today, they need to make more signs. Each person's progress today is shown in the coordinate plane. So one thing that I want to point out is they're talking about each person's progress today. So if we're talking about today, yesterday is already done, right? So yesterday would be where we started today, right? What we did yesterday would be today's initial value. So I just want to point out what Andre did yesterday. I want to point out what Claire did yesterday because that's going to help us, okay? I want to point those two things out. So first, what they want us to do is, based on these lines, we're going to be marking the statements as true or false for each person, okay? Based on these lines, we're going to be marking each statement true or false for each person. So let's take the first statement. At 40 minutes, I have 25 signs completed. So where is minutes? Minutes is on our x-axis. The number of signs completed is on our y-axis. So what I want us to do, let's go find 40 minutes, which is here, and let's find 25 signs. So that's right at point A, okay? At point A. So now, who is that true for? Do you think that's true for Claire, or is that true for Andre? Well, let's think back. Remember I said that yesterday's signs is the initial value for today, right? So yesterday, Andre made 15 signs. So Andre's line, I'm going to highlight that in, let's do red. So Andre's line would have started with 15 today. So 15 is here. Okay. So now when I look at Claire's line, Claire made 5 signs. So her line would have started at 5. I'm just going to highlight Claire's line. And I'm going to go ahead and label those. So this is Claire and this is Andre. Okay. So now, who did 25 signs in 40 minutes? Both of them did. Notice how point A is on both lines. So this would be true for Claire and for Andre. The next one says, at 75 minutes, I have 42 and a half signs completed. Okay, so let's find 75 minutes. So 75 minutes is in between 70 and 80. And they completed 42 and a half signs. So where would 42 and a half signs be? That's going to be right there with point B. Right there with point B. So whose line is that point on? That's true for Claire. That's true for Claire, but is not true for Andre because that's not on Andre's line. For C, let's look at C. At 0 minutes, I have 15 signs completed. All right, so 0 minutes. We're at 0 minutes. We're right there. So whose line has 0:15 on it? So that would be Andre's line. So that's going to be true for Andre, but false for Claire. At 100 minutes, I have 60 signs completed. So at 100 minutes, I'm going to find 100 minutes. And we have 60 signs completed. That's point D. Whose line is that on? That point isn't on either line. So that means it's false for Claire and Andre. So again, I want you to remember, what was the objective today? I wanted you guys to be looking at what lies on lines and what is off lines, right? We're talking about on and off the line. So as we get ready to bring this to a close, I want you to start thinking about how we found the ordered pair that makes two relationships true using tables and graphs. So what do we mean? Okay. If it makes the equation true, that means it's a solution, right? So if we looked at the graph, how did we figure out whether or not it made both equations true? It's the point where both lines intersected, okay? It is a point where both lines intersected, okay? What about with our tables? Okay, let's dig a little deeper here, okay? We're looking at where the X and the Y values are the same in both situations, okay? Where the X and Y values are the same in both situations. What are some advantages of tables? So if you use two tables to describe two relationships, how would you know whether a common point exists? Okay. Tables are good for knowing the exact values for individual points. If the common point is listed in each table, it will probably be easy to notice, but it may be missing from at least one table or difficult to find if the tables are large and unordered. Okay. If the common point is listed in each table, one row of the table should match in both columns. Okay. So again, we're looking for when the X value and the Y values are the same. We're looking for when they are the same. What are some advantages of graphs? So graphs give a better overall picture of relationships, and it usually makes estimating the common point a lot easier, because what are we looking for? We're looking for an intersection. We're looking for where those graphs overlap one another. When using graphs, where are the points whose coordinates do not make a given relationship true? They're going to be off the line. If they don't make the relationship true, or they wouldn't make the equation of the line true, they're not going to be on the line. Okay, remember that from point D. Do the coordinates of those points show up in a table of values? No, it wouldn't, because the table of values are going to represent all the points that lie along the line. So if this point isn't on the line, it's not going to be in the table either. Okay, it's not going to be in the table either. So today's goals, I wanted you to be able to identify ordered pairs that are solutions to an equations, and I wanted you to be able to interpret ordered pairs that are solutions to an equation as well. Okay, so it's that time again. We've reached the end of a lesson. If you have questions, let me know. If you want to verify your notes, go to Canvas. Otherwise, head over and complete that cool down.